morning, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready for the first session for today? I would love to hear a yes if you are ready. Are you ready for the first session for today? I do not hear you. I just said good morning. We're just about to start our day, and we're just about to start and embark on the 2024, this edition of the big Cine Expo here in the lovely city of Mumbai. Can I hear a louder yes? Are you ready? Audience viewing patterns in theatrical and OTT platforms have evolved significantly over the past few years, particularly accelerated by the COVID-19 pandemic. As theaters face closures and capacity restrictions, there are a notable increase in first-run movies being released directly on streaming platforms. Now, this shift has drastically shortened the window between theatrical release and OTT availability, sometimes to just a few weeks, which also leads to substantial payment for OTT rights. The current industry mantra prioritizes a theatrical release first, followed by availability on other platforms. But understanding these changes are crucial for filmmakers and marketers as they navigate key trends and access the importance of the theatrical window for a movie's success in a rapidly evolving media landscape. The discussion on audience viewing patterns in theatrical and OTT platforms explores how consumer behavior is shifting between traditional cinemas and streaming services. And with the rise of OTT platforms, viewers are enjoying greater success to diverse content, leading to changes in demographics and viewing habits. All this because of the diverse content that is available today. Factors such as convenience, variety, cost influences audience preferences. But this evolution also poses challenges as well as opportunities for filmmakers, marketers, and the theater owners. So understanding these patterns are crucial to adapt strategies that will rapidly change the landscape of media. Today, we're excited to explore how audience behaviors are evolving in both traditional cinema as well as the ever-expanding world of OTT streaming services. So, ladies and gentlemen, with these words, it is truly an honor and pleasure to introduce our esteemed speakers for the first panel discussion this morning. We have with us our moderator, Komal Nahta, Editor-in-Chief, Film Information. May I please request him to kindly join us on stage. May I please invite our panelists, Aashish Singh, producer, Red Chillies Entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, you can clap, you know. Yes, you can. Thank you. Next, may I please invite Dayal Padmanabhan, film writer, producer, director, to kindly join us on stage. Kunal Savne, Chief Operating Officer, Movie Max Cinemas. And Rajiv Sharma, Chief Executive Officer, NY Cinemas. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before they begin, let's give them a huge round of applause. Come on.
I've got an esteemed panel, very learned people, right in the thick of things. She's already done the honors, but let me tell you a little more about them. Aashish Singh heads Red Chillies Entertainment, Shah Rukh Khan's company. Before that, he had had a long stint at Yashraj Films. And when you talk about Yashraj Films and Shah Rukh's Red Chillies Entertainment, you don't need to say anything more. They are two of the pillars of the industry, so he's one of the pillars of those two companies. Dayal Padmanabhan, he was just telling me, he'd made a Kannada film for 63 lakh, which earned him approximately 4 crore rupees from theatrical and non-theatrical revenues. And B4U dubbed it in Hindi and put it up on YouTube. It has already got a viewership of 2 million. And it's called Ghatak Raj, just in case you want to see it. It has been remade in Telugu and Tamil also. The Kannada film was directed, written and produced by him. The Tamil film is co-produced by him. And in all the languages, it has been a blockbuster. Kunal Sahni is the COO of Movie Max Cinemas. It's a growing chain. And before that, he was with other chains of cinemas. A very fascinating personality who is raring to go wherever he goes. And he takes his expertise wherever he goes and definitely adds a lot of value. Rajiv Sharma, I've just had the fortune of meeting him for the first time today. Such a pleasant face. And NY Cinemas, he's the CEO of Ajay Devgan's NY Cinemas. He just informed me that he's also now looking after production and post-production. As you all know, Ajay Devgan has a post-production studio himself. And as a producer, of course, he's very, very prolific, making a lot of films. So I'm sure Rajiv Sharma doesn't have time. It's nice that all four of them have taken out time and come for this panel discussion. And let me begin right away. Our topic is audience viewing patterns in theatrical and OTT. First and foremost, Rajiv, let me begin with you. Since you run a chain of cinemas, do you actually feel that OTT has taken away a section of the audience from cinemas, or this is just a figment of people's imagination because cinema collections are as they used to be?
So I wish I could choose to say that it hasn't. Well, it's time to accept that yes, the viewing pattern, the viewing consumption pattern of audiences have changed dramatically post-COVID. I would have said this more confidently in 2019-20.
Pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID. But with the kind of choices people have got in the last 3-4 years, it has definitely made a dent to the box office collections, though we had a very high number last year in terms of revenues. But those were a few superhero films that made it to the top. So I would not differ by saying that, yes, it makes a difference. Unless there's a great content where people want to watch in the first week, it does affect our footfalls.
You know, Aashish, I'll come to you. He says, unless there is great content, there are no collections, there are no footfalls. But that has been the case right from the time the industry was born, you know. Great content, people will come. If the content is not great, people are not going to come because it's their hard-earned money. More so now because the ticket pricing is so high that people have to think twice, thrice, and 10 times before going to the cinemas, venturing out to the cinemas. So then, in that sense, has anything changed?
Komalji, thank you for having us over here, and good morning, everybody. So first, I want to just delve a little about what Rajiv just spoke earlier, and to your question about has OTT impacted theatre viewing? There's no question it has. But in the bigger scheme of things, and let's be practical, when we greenlight content, content is actually greenlit based on how much OTT will also pay for it. So let's not have this feeling that without OTT we can survive, number one. As producers, that's the only income that's kind of guaranteed to the producer. Because like you said, box office is very tricky right now.
It's very fickle.
Yes. So as a producer, you have to see both the things with different lenses. And obviously, you want to maximize on both. Coming back to your second question, and very important question, as to what has changed at the box office. Personally, what I feel is that the star system in Bollywood, in our industry, Hindi industry, is no longer as strong as it used to be before COVID for whatever reason.
Which is good news or bad news?
Which is, in a way, good news for good content creators, the smaller producers, but bad news for the big producers. For the simple reason that the actors come up with some fees that you have to pay, which is a huge cost, which directly impacts your bottom line, right? And when they don't guarantee you that opening weekend, which used to happen with most of the actors, without taking names, but the top 10, 12 actors that we talk about, they used to guarantee you a certain opening weekend. But now, each film is very unique for even those actors, at least a bulk of them, without taking names. And that is something that's really impacting the producer, because when you lose money, you lose a hell lot of money now. And it's happened clearly in the last year and a half, where actors who used to easily, safely do a net box office of 100 or 125 have ended up at 30 and 25. Now, who's going to fill that gap? The producer's loss, nothing else. Now, the most important question, how important is content? Content is definitely most important. We've seen it clearly. A film like Stree has beaten the records of Jawan, Pathan, and is still so strong, which is commendable. I just happened to bump into Dinesh Vijan, who was just leaving, and I've known his journey. He always believed in great content, and it has delivered to him now.
And great music.
And great music. So, of course, everything supports good marketing. It has to look authentic. The content has to look authentic. Without a doubt, the audience, the other thing with the OTT, what's happened, Komalji, and I think all of us will agree, that after watching OTT during pandemic, the audience's choices have changed in terms of how content is presented also. So that is something that I personally feel very strongly. The so-called formula films, where okay, fine, 2 songs, 4 action pieces, I can understand that performing with a very big superstar, the 2-3 names that we can talk about. But the mid-level stars cannot guarantee you that success just by having those 2 songs and 4 action pieces. The audience is definitely looking for something unique in the story, in the presentation, and without a doubt, entertainment is most important. So it boils down to entertainment, 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 like we've been saying. And we have clearly seen last year with a film like Gadar, which nobody expected to do this kind of a number. Stree now. Of course, Animal did a great number. Pathan, Jawan were always supposed to do big numbers. But clearly, good content with the right making is guaranteeing you a longer tail at the box office. And I think that is what we should be planning for. And with a big star, it can only add a lot of value and make that number bigger.
I'll come to your point about, you said that the star system is dying. I will come to the point. Incidentally, it so happens that I want to talk to you about 2 films starring your own boss, but I'll come to them later. The 2023's 2 biggest blockbusters. I saw Dayalji beaming with joy when you said the star system is definitely dying. Content is important. He was so excited, I almost thought he would jump out of his chair. So I'll let him answer this one. Content has always been king. Do you think after the advent of OTT, the importance of content has increased manifold?
Let me repeat the golden words and start my expression that always content is the king.
Always content is the king.
The king. See, for cinema, viewing cinema in cinema theaters, always when a new technology comes, always there is a threat. No? Before OTT, we were afraid of satellite television channels.
True.
And we were depending on the revenue of satellite television channels, that is satellite rights. Then we were talking about that. When OTT came up, then we started talking about OTT. One thing is sure, that watching a cinema in a theater is an experience. Okay, watching a content on your device, maybe at your home or when you travel, in your mobile or television, whatever, it is not an experience. It is just killing your time. This is what I have. I will strongly say that you don't get involved with the content and watch that film. Okay, so that way, cinema watching experience in theater will live ever. And you cannot beat it. Okay, and the second thing I want to register is, when the OTT became very popular during the COVID crisis, where the audience were forced to watch the available content, where their mindset also changed, that the cinema, original cinemas, may be also this way, that content-based cinema, they started watching content-based cinema. So one way, the OTT has changed the mindset of the audience actually.
It has. It has.
So now I want to give you a very, very recent example about Tumbad. When Tumbad got released in 2019, the overall theatrical revenue was 10 plus crores, if I am right.
Yes, yes.
Correct me if I am wrong.
Yes.
When it was re-released after 6 years, once again it has collected 15 plus crores, which is, once again I will say, content is the king. Okay, and one more thing. When a when a film is presented with extra visual treat, with sound, with added sound and VFX, you don't get that experience when you're watching in your device. So you have to come to theater. Now, let me ask you one question. The audience who are watched Tumbat for the first time, probably in the device or in theaters, do you feel they would have come back again to watch Tumbat?
I feel, I don't know whether I'm right or no, probably the esteemed panelists can guess or can agree or disagree with me. I feel a lot of people had heard good things about Tumbat but not seen it.
Yes.
They went to the big screen, they said, let us see, we have heard so much, but आके निकल गई और हमने देखी नहीं picture, let's go and see now. So it is all 80% of the audience is that audience which had missed Tumbat for some reason.
Yes.
And they are coming now.
Yeah, I did a small survey. I watched Tumbat multiple times because Tumbat was compared with my Kannada film, which was dubbed to Hindi also. People were telling that it is another Tumbat. Okay. So for that reason, I watched multiple times Tumbat, and very recently, a week back, I watched in Bangalore multiplex. During the intermission, I interacted with many, and I asked them, what made you to watch this film? Most of them said, when I watched it in the device, I didn't get that experience because of the sound and the visual. Definitely, Tumbat visuals are completely, don't get offended or something. It is not a regular Bollywood visuals. It is completely a dark and shade film, and the cinematography is completely different. So it was completely new to Bollywood. So they want to experience that sound and visual together, so they have come, most of them. So always, content will pull you wherever you present it. This is what my opinion is.
Superb. Kunal, tell me, has COVID accelerated the process, or it has brought in something which probably without COVID would not have come in? I'm talking about the emergence of OTT as a very formidable competition to cinema.
So I'd like to just add what they said and then answer your query. It is also in 2018, 2019, if you see, the content-driven movies have started to do good. So people have started to realize that's where, all the not so-called so big actors started to do really, really good. Irfan Khan and all that movies started to do good. But what has happened in COVID, because there was so much of time for people, they consumed a lot of content, not only Hindi, but different languages, Indian as well as international, where they accelerated on their taste. That's exactly what we see. As soon as the pandemic was over and cinema was open, there was a shift in change which probably took them ahead 5 to 6 years. And that has only happened because they were not doing anything and just sitting home and consuming a lot of content. So there is a shift, and definitely experience is the most important. I like to just add, not Tumbat, but I also interacted with some of the guests who saw Rehna Hai Tere Dil Mein Veer Zara. And when I asked them, they said, we saw this movie when we were couples. Now we are married with kids, so we want to bring them again back to the theater and share with them the same experience what we had when we were couple. And we are talking about 22, 24 years old movie. So that's the experience which we are talking. Take an example of this exhibition. This could have happened online. We could have sat online and seen all this. But we are here presented all from different states and city only to experience. So what cinema can give is an experience which unfortunately we can't get on OTT. But yes, OTT has taken a certain pie, and that's only one, content, and second, a big reason more than content is the convenience. OTT gives an convenience to everybody. As you see, when we travel in train, flight, bus, or even you pick up a Ola driver, wherever he is standing, he'll just take out his mobile and start consuming content. That is the convenience which OTT has added to people's life. So screen time is divided. Reason being, people are not coming to cinema because their screen time is limited. In a week, you can only give X number of hours, which you are consuming by OTT or Instagram Reels or Facebook. It's not only OTT, but also Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are also getting very popular. We had cinemas where, college students used to come in morning. Today, I have seen in malls, morning shows, we don't have college students that much, but college students are sitting inside the cafeterias and browsing through reels, and they can spend 3 hours. So, we are not counting, but that is a competition come in. So it's a screen time, and the device which has done is a lot of changes.
Rajiv, which means what, you want to add something? Dayalji said, Aashish also said, and Kunal also said that it's the experience. So one, to increase or enhance the experience of the audience, what do cinema people like you and Kunal plan to do in the coming months or years? Because competition you're getting not just from OTT, as Kunal said, but also from Reels, Facebook, Instagram. Those have now become competition for films. So does it make the life of people like you who helm cinema companies, multiplex chain companies, does it make life very difficult for you?
So it does. It does make a big difference on just another theater, or is it something different that people try to do in the large screen formats? I was unpleasantly surprised to, when I was getting my notes together on certain facts and figures. I don't want to quote the number, but average per person's time spent on social media these days in India, I don't know whether we had 3 hours a day plus to do all this. And this is surprising and shocking. So there is enough competition. I've got teenage daughters at home. And I've seen this change at home itself. And we don't see teenagers flocking back at the cinemas today. You need to give them a reason to come back. I mean, obviously, content is a king, and I always believe in this. And no content is good or bad, I personally feel, because every producer who makes a content does it with the right spirit and right intention. The consumption pattern definitely has changed, and so is the choice of customers. As cinema theatrical chain, what we have tried to do right from the beginning, because that's all what we know, entertainment, entertainment, and entertainment by making films. So we decided that we build the cinema chain in a manner that becomes more engaging for patrons. There's a cinema in every lane in Bombay today. And it's dominated profusely by players everywhere. We wanted to give them a choice of coming to the cinema 15 minutes before the show, which has disappeared today. People don't come to the convenience matters. Obviously, you want to look at the parking, you want to be at the show maybe 1 minute or 5 minutes after the show has started, because you're finding a parking space, you've not been able to make up to the theater in time and stuff like this. So I think we, as cinema owners, as cinema chain owners, we should shoulder this responsibility of giving this experiential difference, bringing this experiential differences to customers that gives them a reason to come to the cinema, spend some time. I mean, this is an outing that people have done for years together with their families and friends. We used to dress up to go to a cinema.
Exactly.
Yeah, we used to click photographs. We didn't have digital photographs those days, but we used to wait to see the photograph the next day, how it has come. And those experiences are to be replicated. Like a lot of old movies, I mean, it's a circle. Everything comes back, you know. And I think at least our vision is to be the differentiating player. Most of our cinemas have proven to do better than the market performance does because we've curated them differently. And I'm happy that many of us are started doing that now. So it does make a difference on what we can't make a difference in the audio video. Now that's global standards. Yeah, we follow the SMPT standards. We cannot, and that's our bread and butter, so you can't play around with the audio video. But what we can play around with is the space that we provide other than the auditoriums, where people can spend some time before they come to the theater. Before they walk into the auditoriums. We make it more engaging and more selfie. I mean, people, the teenagers feel more they feel more pro to click selfies at every square feet of the space that we offer. So that's how we're trying to make that difference.
You know, while providing services or making the whole experience of cinema going more pleasurable for the audience. That's one aspect. The other aspect, I've been hearing it wherever I go, the ticket prices are so high, yaar. कौन जाएगा cinema में? एक family जाती है तो 1,500 रुपए लग जाते हैं, 2,000 रुपए लग जाते हैं. Popcorn is so expensive, samosas are so expensive, cold drinks are priced so high, water bottles are priced so high. So why aren't cinemas thinking of rationalizing the price structure? I say this also vis-a-vis the National Cinema Days, which are held at least twice or thrice a year these days. And you know, the Multiplex Association of India keeps sending out press releases that this National Cinema Day, we netted so much, we grossed so much, and it's fantastic. But then the next logical step should be, let's all sit together and think of pricing structures which are variable and which are more user-friendly, more consumer-friendly. Why aren't cinemas doing this? Kunal, if I could start with you.
So it's not that the ticket prices are only high. It all depends on which cinema are we talking about. The real estate plays a lot of importance. In India today, the average ticket price is less than a coffee. So that's the truth. Coffee shops are opening all next door.
Yeah, but average is fine. Sometimes averages, you know, you can play around with figures to conceal the real problem, the real pain point. The real pain point are those cinemas which are very highly priced. See, rich families, they also like to maintain a certain standard. They are not going to go to any cinema. They would like to go to the best cinema, experience the best seats, etc. Then it starts pinching them when the tickets are priced at 1,000 rupees, 800 rupees. Let's not talk only of the average. Let's talk of hardcore prices which are really high.
So see, when you're talking about 1,000 rupees ticket pricing or 1,500, there are not only for the movie, for the experience. It could be in what area it is situated. In top of the top metro, in the best of the malls, it has what type of seats. These are all the factors. So if you pick up a great multiplex in a mall and a normal two-screen multiplex in a shopping complex or not a big mall, you will see a ticket price difference of 60 to 70%. So it is the choice of the customer which they want to pick up. Also coming to National Day, yes, ticket price is not only ticket price, it's also the marketing. Please understand, all cinema chains, everybody market it. So it is like, you know, promoting and making something visible for people to come for the cinema. If everybody would have marketing a particular movie or a cinema in a certain way, I'm sure people will come back. So yes, ticket price, but also the marketing which happens a month before by everybody put together on that day is the impact of cinema day.
I like this point. Aashish, firstly, do you agree with him that cinema prices, ticket prices are not high? They are high when they are delivering this. Secondly, I see this whole thing about marketing a film. You know, there used to be ads in Bombay Times or Times of India. There's to be street publicity. There's to be television publicity. Suddenly, everybody seems to be so enamored of social media. They think the world begins and ends in social media. That's what I feel. And therefore, the focus is on promoting things on social media. There's a whole world of people who don't know about the existence of social media. They don't go to social media, they don't have Twitter accounts, they don't have Instagram accounts. So why has this marketing reduced? So on the one hand, we cry cinema audience nahi aa rahi hai. On the other hand, what are we doing, we as an industry doing, to attract the audiences, to get them back to the cinemas?
So firstly, regarding the ticket prices, Komalji, I personally feel that ticket prices are fine. There's no issue. Because if they were not fine, we wouldn't have seen the numbers of 500 crores. You know, as simple as that. What we forget is the problems of the exhibitors and the theater owners, the rentals. With inflation, every year, it's bound to increase by 6 to 7%. Everything is bound to increase. That's the least we can talk about. But invariably, the rentals are going up by 10% and 12%. So they always have their own set of problems which they have to deal with. And we clearly know the balance sheets of all the listed companies, and they don't look that rosy. So it's not that they're pocketing the money that's coming out of the extra tickets. But I think they found the formula to kind of, you know, have a certain number for a certain kind of films. We also know that the number of people going to the theaters, purely in terms of the top line number, is actually going down. So we need to find a solution. How do we bring them back? And related to marketing, and that's the only way we can bring them back, right? Firstly, we have to make good content. That goes, so
That is the
that's a
bottom
given.
line.
That's
That
a
is the
given.
bottom line.
That's a given. Now to your question about why we are spending more on digital and not on the other, aspects.
I don't mind spending on digital, but why are you all ignoring the traditional systems of marketing?
Because Komalji, also what's happened now, the consumption pattern has changed. If you ask any youngster now, I don't think they're watching linear TV. Earlier, we all used to watch linear TV and see advertisements and see the songs over there and get wooed by it and then go to the theaters. But now, clearly, they're not watching linear TV, so that
Yeah,
is...
but we are surely not making cinema only for the younger generation. I'm talking about that generation which still watches television
Correct.
very, very religiously.
Yes, so Komalji, now when you do the TG of any marketing guy, when they break it down to say that which is the first audience that's going to the theaters, it's actually 18 to 35 is what the marketing whatever feedback is to everybody. So that's your first, if you have a limited budget to play with, you will first try to woo them in, okay? There's no question about the older age group coming into the theaters, but typically that's an audience that comes after hearing about the film. That, okay, yeah, it's a good film, and then it's worth the effort to go to the theater and watch it. Of course, I know of so many ladies' kitty parties where they go in groups, but they in any ways go for a specific kind of a film where the music has become popular. Like you said, music is so important. And there are two assets that work the best for us in terms of marketing. You spend whatever you want to spend,
Trailers
you will,
and
absolutely.
Trailers and music.
Trailers and music. So if you've done that and cracked that, you've kind of cracked it. Then it's just your own ego to say, "Arey, I've got a cover on this without naming the publication, and I'm doing this, and there are these types," but they add nothing. Even hoardings, we know, outdoor publicity used to be so important at one point, but clearly we know that when you don't do outdoor publicity in so many cities, the shows are full on day one. So it's not that people see the hoardings and go and watch the films. And if that was the case, then the best designs would have encouraged films to get a great opening. So it boils down to the trailer and the songs, like you mentioned. And in today's time, with Spotify of the world and YouTube, that's enough for the audience to kind of see, watch, and it catches up. We spoke about reels. So while reels are a big distraction for the younger audience,
They are also promotion.
for the producer, they are the most important thing.
Yeah.
So the minute a reel is trending and your song is trending, you have your opening day covered.
Coming to your point, the first reply, we were saying that the star system is dying. At least it doesn't exist now in the way it used to exist. And yet, 2023 had two biggest blockbusters, Shah Rukh Khan's Pathaan and Jawan. They were star-driven. They were blockbusters of epic proportions. They, in fact, displaced Bahubali to the conclusion, which for several years was the highest Hindi business film, despite not being a Hindi film, So these two films did so much, and they were star-driven. People went to the cinemas to see Shah Rukh Khan. So then, how do you explain this anomaly?
So there's a difference between a star and a superstar.
Yes, superstar.
Shah Rukh sir is a superstar.
Of course, superstar.
Okay.
Yes.
So that, keeping that aside, sir, I mentioned in my conversation earlier, what I mentioned was that a star will enhance a good film. And both the films we are talking about were Paisa Vasool films, what we talk about. So while there could be some people saying, oh, we didn't like it or whatever,
will always
which
exist.
we heard.
That will always
so
exist.
the verdict was not unanimous in terms of the critics and even people who got out of the theaters, but they were value for money. And when you give value for money with a big star or a superstar, nobody can stop that. Which happened with Animal, which happened with many other films.
With Gadar 2.
With Gadar 2, of course. So that will continue happening. When I spoke about the star system in our industry particularly, I was in a way comparing it to the South. Today, even an average or a big star in the South guarantees you that first weekend. Name the actor, you will get it. But in our industry, for some strange reason, that's not happening. So my point was more related to that why is that not happening, and can we crack, or find out the reason, or can the stars accept that fine, they have to find a new model of charging money or whatever they want to do to guarantee that the producer does not lose money.
Okay, now the last question, I would want each one of you to give your perspectives because we are running out of time. We can start with Rajiv, and each one can add his bit whenever he feels like. On the one hand, we all agree on the dais, I'm sure many in the audience also, that OTT has taken away a chunk of the cinema-going audience. So we are impacted by digital platforms. On the other, we see, and you two should know better, we see every multiplex chain, every national or smaller chain adding cinemas. So what is this? Of course, there are cinemas which are closing down, but the old order changeth, yielding place to the new. How are so many new cinemas coming when we realize that OTT is taking away or swallowing part of our audience?
I strongly believe cinemas and OTT are here to coexist.
Like television also
Like
coexists.
television also. What we are doing now is not leaving cinemas. We are correcting our mistakes. We are evolving as an industry.
Okay.
We want to run profitable businesses. So for a long, just about on a panel discussion last week, I was asked, why have you started your journey as a Tier 2, Tier 3 brand and not a Tier 1 brand? Nobody gave me a site in Tier 1 cities. It was so unaffordable. You know, we never looked at the downside. We never thought that anything could go down. So what we are doing
According to me, you have done the wisest thing.
Yeah. So it became a very wise thing. So all of us now, we are correcting our books. We are making sure the business is profitable. We are making sure that we are prepared for the low time. We are also making the real estate developers as partners in our business, saying that when there's a good day, you make a better buck than what you would otherwise make. And when the industry doesn't go through a good time, you also share my sorrows. So we've started traveling this journey in the last 2 years, which is a very win-win kind of a situation. That's why you see that even the people who leave cinemas today are also signing new cinemas and also having new handshakes. And real estate is coming at a much more favorable terms to us than it used to come earlier. So I personally believe that this is entertainment. I mean, movies and cricket are our religion, and we have just 52 weeks in a year. We just need 52 good contents to make it work. So I don't think we know anything else but entertainment. And we're going to live this and breathe this, at least as a filmmaker and a post-productions company and an exhibition company. I think our heart and soul lies in entertainment, and we'll continue to do that.
Very true.
So just to add on what Rajiv said and taking the example of cricket, I think of a match which is going on and we are thinking that we'll sit home and just watch alone with our spouse. We plan it, we go to stadium, we go to restaurants and we go with friends. That's an experience which we want to create, and that's exactly what cinema does. And why cinema, what we started to do everything is we are trying to make it more neighborhood cinemas where a person before used to plan, okay, I have to go on a Saturday, let me see what show timing, let me book. Now it is like it's instant on mobile.
Walk
Which
in.
show? You just see 6:30 show, no, 7 o'clock show. It's very convenient. So that's exactly what we are trying to do, because people are getting very impulsive. And all big tentpoles, all the names of the big movies which we have taken, all superstar and stars which are there, OTT can't give them the return on the investment which they do. It's only the cinema. So as he has said, yes, content is the king, but according to me, cinema is the kingdom for that content.
Dayalji, if you can also throw light on whether the scenario is the same down south or it's different in the rest of India and the south.
No, before I open up my opinion, I don't know. After this particular expression, they may be my opposite party or something like that. So I'm the one. Raghav knows, the director of this Cine Expo, that I'm the one person who fought against multiplex in South India, particularly in Karnataka, to cap the price, to capping the price.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Then I had an online campaign. I gained around 2 lakhs sign, and I gave a representation to Siddaramaiah. That time he was the CM.
CM, yes.
Then the Multiplex Owners Association came to Bangalore. We had a meeting in Vidhana Sauda. Even now, between Monday to Thursday, probably because of my fight and my representation, the capping of price is still under
From Mondays to Thursdays.
Thursdays. From Friday to Sunday, it
They
is
are free.
Free.
Okay.
So this is in Karnataka. One thing is, see, as a fighter, yes, as a social cause, I fight everything. But when we understand the business, it's very difficult to have that price. As Sir said, the real estate, the rent, everything. But as a filmmaker, as a producer, I will always feel that audience should come to theater. So whatever, okay, you will cut down the price, they will come to theater. This is the general belief always we have. In South, in Chennai, the multiplex, the first 2 rows are given for 10 rupees.
Oh,
Yes,
even
you
I
can
didn't
just
know
open
this.
the Book My Show and see the thing. First 2 rows are reserved for 10 rupees, even in Chennai today. In South India, you know that the biggest industry, when Telugu and the first 2 rows are meant for 10 rupees, and PVR is running show for 150 rupees, 100 rupees, even now. So it is possible if there is a healthy discussion happens between the property owner and the multiplex partner. So that is my opinion, one thing. And I want to tell you, I want to add one more thing about this, that see, recently, that the OTT thing I'm telling, I don't know whether I should reveal this or not.
You should.
Now, OTT is not buying the film for the cost what they were paying before. They
Yes,
also...
yes, they
yes.
have become more rational.
Yeah, they
inverted
also
commas.
reached the saturation point. Actually, to be honest, I don't want to name the OTT platform. The viewership has gone down drastically by 17% for one of the biggest OTT.
Yes.
So I will not say now I have come here to loudly say that cinema will not die. Watching cinema at theaters, that culture will not die. Nobody can destroy also. That strongly I will say as a filmmaker.
Wow.
So now OTT is planning something. I want to refer one film in South now. Very recently, Hotstar produced a film. This is for the first time I'm telling you. First time of this business module. Hotstar produced a film for 5.5 crores with a popular director called Mari Selvaraj. The Vazhai. The title is Vazhai. The film made theatrical, they released theatrically. It was produced by a OTT platform. They released theatrically, which made a 20 plus crores revenue theatrically. Then they released in OTT within 4-5 weeks. So OTT also, now see, suppose if in OTT perception, if you see, they are also coming to a point that, no, we cannot depend only on the subscription base. So one thing is there for each and every platform, let it be a cinema theater platform or OTT platform, the ups and downs are there. But cinema will have the ups and downs always, and it will come up like anything, like a superstar, like a hero, it will come up always. Sir. That will leave always. That's my humble opinion, sir.
Very good. Aashish, like to add?
So what I want to add, Komalji, is and something that we've not broached in our discussion today is the theatrical window on OTT. Let me just go a little back. To be honest, this entire discussion about OTT versus cinemas and all of that, I started by saying that both are very important for a producer to greenlight a film. That's
Because you are getting revenues from both the sources.
Yes, otherwise you just can't make a film. If that's not
Today it
guaranteed.
won't be commercially
Today
viable.
a film will not be greenlit. How will it come to the cinemas?
Yes.
As simple as that.
Yes.
And which is happening with the smaller films,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So that is number one. Number two, when I was at Netflix, there was not a single day when there was a single discussion to say that, we have anything against the theaters. Because OTT depends so much on the theatrical box office business of a film when it comes on OTT as a licensed film. If today also, if Netflix or any of the OTT channels, that original model of original films has gone down drastically for various reasons.
It has.
They are now banking on licensed films that release in the theaters and then come on OTT. And that can only happen if the film does well on box offices when people will watch it on OTT. Otherwise, they will not watch it. Of course, there could be some very small films.
Exceptions only prove the rule.
But that too also, it's only that much. You know?
fraction.
So to come back to this entire discussion about theaters and OTT, clearly OTT wants theaters to survive big time. OTT wants films to do great business so that when they come there, there is more viewership. If there's a film which has done great business and if it hasn't been watched, people will subscribe for that OTT platform. Otherwise, why will you get new subscribers? Everything will become flat for everybody, right? So that is a given. Now coming back to the window, and that is the critical discussion we should be having, wherein what is that window or the timeline for the audience that doesn't know. Once a film releases in the theaters, there are certain things that are signed contractually by the producer to the OTT platform to say that my film will not come on OTT till 8 weeks for the Hindi industry. In the South, it used to be 4 weeks. So no film can come on OTT till 4 weeks, and that was a safety net for OTT to say that we will definitely get the film in the 4th week or the 8th week. And the theater owners used to know that, okay, fine, at least I have a clean window. Because otherwise what had started happening was people used to film used to flop and they used to give the green signal and it used to be on OTT after 2 weeks. This is what actually spoiled the market for the smaller films. During COVID. What we get to hear a lot from people, at least I get to hear from my cousins, relatives, in 3 weeks we'll see it on OTT. Why do we need to go for this kind of a film and watch it in the theater? And those are the kind of films that have suffered the most.
But do you think that 8 weeks is also less and it should be 12 weeks?
So there are certain producers, Komalji, as we speak, have negotiated a 12-week. I've heard 3-2 is a 12-week window. Rajamouli sir used to do it for his films. So if the producer is strong and believes in his content, they have kind of requested for 12-week windows. The OTT players have agreed to it. They've reduced the price marginally for that 8-week to 12-week shift. But the producer is happy because he's getting that business from the theaters. And at the end of the day, hit or flop is not how it performs on the OTT. It's how it performs at the theaters. That is something that all the producers know, all the actors know. Their endorsements come from their films doing well in the theaters and not by how many people have watched it on OTT, because nobody has those numbers at all. So to come back, theatrical window is very important. If we can push it a little more, it'll definitely help the business as far as multiplexes are concerned, or even the theaters are concerned, not just multiplexes. And that is what we should all be getting together. And I know there are a lot of PVR, Inox, the 3 chains, Cinepolis have done a lot of effort to kind of not let films release in their theaters because of this issue. Even big films like Vijay sir's last film, Go didn't release in Hindi, and many other films. Leo didn't release, though it did so well, but it didn't release, so they stuck to it, which is a good sign. And I think in the next year and a half, this will kind of stabilize. So both will come to terms where the producer says, okay, this is the right window. Even OTT will be mentally ready to say, okay, fine, we're okay if it doesn't come in 8 weeks, like you're saying, it comes in 10 weeks or 12 weeks, or for the South films, if not in 4 weeks, in 6 weeks. And then as an audience, I know that, okay, I can't watch this film for two months. So do I need to wait? No. Then I'll start going to the theaters.
You all have been such a wonderful panel. We've had lovely discussions. Just to sum it up, there's absolutely no doubt that OTT has taken away a chunk of the cinema-going audience. But having said that, all is not lost. Cinemas are here to stay. And Dayal and Aashish, they are convinced that cinema cannot die. Of course, they are cinema guys. The very fact that they are investing in new cinemas, their conviction is so super strong. So there is a lot to be done. We need to make cinema going a more pleasurable experience, because of which chains like NY and Movie Max, or for that matter PVR, Inox, etc., they not only invest in cinemas but try to ensure that the maximum facilities, services are given to the audience, and the audience actually feels like coming back to the cinemas. There is no doubt that there is scope for price correction. As one of the panelists said, that why can't we all sit together, the landlords, the cinema walas, the multiplex people, the producers, the content creators, all of them sit together. I always say one thing, that this industry moves at such breakneck speed. Everybody wants his film to click and become the biggest hit. Nobody wants the industry to flourish. Each one is concerned about his film. Meri picture hit ho jaye, fir main dusra kaam karu. Nobody has time for the entire industry. I just think we need to slow down a little. Think of the industry as a whole, the trade as a whole. There is a lot of scope to improve business, to enhance business, to increase business, and to, as is rightly pointed out, cinema and OTT will survive together. And in fact, producers can't be complaining about OTT, because as Aashish rightly said, without OTT we cannot make films today. Such a huge chunk of money is coming from OTT, the digital platforms. So I think this is a transitional phase. The sooner the industry and all the partners in the content creation space as well as the exhibition space, if all sat together and came out with proper solutions, the longevity of this industry will grow and it will become a far more profitable business, because there are points which need to be improved. It's just that people don't seem to have time. I would feel that if just people could step back a little, take a look at the larger picture, there's enough scope for business to enhance or to increase maybe 20, 25%. Now quickly, the last 5 minutes, if you among the audience have any questions for the panelists, just 5 minutes, 2 questions will take. I can't see you also, you'll have to stand up and raise your hand.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself, please.
Yeah. So I work in a university in Karnataka and I am Professor Shivalinga. I don't really have a question for the panelists. I just have a small observation to make. You said like content is the king, and my observation here is, being part of a university, I can't simply claim that syllabus is the king for me. For me, the syllabus presenter is what matters. In the sense, if I have very good syllabus, I can't simply claim that my university can become big. It all depends on how we present the syllabus to the students in a matter where they can become enlightened. For that, I can give you a simple example of a movie. OTT actually introduced most of us to some Malayalam movies during the COVID time. And there was one movie called Vikruti, which in fact had a very trivial subject matter, content. But the content presentation, in fact, is so awesome that it is simply awesome, and it goes for about some 2 hours or so on. Dayal's movie called Aa Karala Ratri is inspired by a fable from Europe. And it's only this bit. And if you want to really narrate the story, it will take you hardly 30 seconds. But he has managed to stretch that to about 2 hours or so. So for me, it's not simply the content that matters, but content presentation. Because if I'm eating some good food, I can't simply credit the ingredients. I should rather credit the cook. So we need not simply the content here, because there's a person from Red Chillies Entertainment here. I'm quite sure that they would definitely get hundreds of people queuing up before their offices, giving them content of all qualities. But what they want is a creator who can present that content, which can translate itself into money. So we need content presentation pretty heavily today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good one. Anybody else? You know, you'll have to actually say that I want to ask a question, because the light is coming right into eyes and we can't see. Anybody else? Any more questions? Yes, I can see a hand raised. Please introduce yourself and ask the question.
Hi, this is Kabir here from the Free Press Journal. I just have a request slash question for Mr. Padmanabhan. I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. You protested and you made all that social activity for which the tickets are for rupees 10 in Chennai. Could you do the same in Bombay for us, please, sir?
No, the thing is, see, basically, I was a central government employee. I was very active in the union activities. When I came to cinema also, the same blood was carried out. And that was the time the multiplex, I mean, the price of, the cost of the ticket was not under control. So I gave a representation to the Karnataka Film Chamber of Commerce and Producer Association. They could not initiate any discussion with the multiplex owners. So I just the old union, that energy I gained back, and I gave a try, it worked out. Okay? I don't think I can come to Mumbai and do the same thing. Probably it should be a national-wide campaign. Thank you.
You know, Mr. Padmanabhan has an offer for him to make a Marathi film. I'm guaranteeing you that the day he says yes, he'll also ensure that he takes this fight in Bombay. And people like you and all of us will then thank him for that. No more questions, I suppose?
Abhishek Chauhan.
Yes, Vishek. Yes, Vishek.
Also, China has close to 80,000 screens. United States of America has close to 40,000 screens with a population of only 34 crores. China, same population as India, has 80,000 screens. India, active screens, what I've heard, what we read, is 7,000 to 8,000 screens with a population at par with China, 1/4 population United States of America. The other part of the question is that the ticket price in US is $11. The average ticket price is what we hear. If you convert it into purchasing power parity, it works around to be roughly 240 rupees Indian. So my question is, when are we going to look into this seriously and solve this problem? And when India becomes from an under-screened market to a properly screened market? My question is to the complete panel and you also, sir.
Who'd like to take it?
I would like to tell one thing that since I'm getting the question that Bombay is very costly in the ticket price, they should also look at the module, how it is working out in Chennai. That is, I'm talking about the Chennai, the ticket price is not more than 100 rupees and 150 rupees in multiplex. The same PVR, same, one of the biggest property, Satyam Complex. Satyam Complex itself, you get a film for 150, you get a ticket. Okay? Even the first 2 rows are reserved for 10 rupees. The initiate has to be done by the government actually. The rules has to be strict, and because in Tamil Nadu, they cannot increase the price because of the rules laid by the government. And one more thing is, you know the history of Tamil Nadu, the CM, generally the CM, Jayalalitha, Karunanidhi, M.G. Ramachandran, Udayanidhi Stalin, that deputy CM, everyone, they are from the cinema background. They understand the cinema.
It helps.
It helps. In Karnataka, once again, it was an individual, a representation. So I think the government has to come forward and they should work on the capping the price. But once again, they have to answer.
So it's I agree, it's a united effort. I can say it more confidently because we started off setting up cinemas in smaller cities where the population was less than 2.5 lakh as well. And the cinema watching decisions of a lot of families and friends is not as impulse in smaller cities, you know. So whereas the cost of making cinema and operating a cinema is not very different from one place to the other. Unless and until there is a great support that the whole ecosystem brings in together to make this function, like he rightly said, even for the content that way. So it's a hygiene change that's needed overall. And we would be able to, I mean, every filmmaker wants his film to be seen in the first 3 days of its release. And it's extremely important that people get to see it in the right spirit that it is made, with the right vision that a director or a cinematographer has actually shot it and curated it. So it's equally important for the industry to make sure that we reach out to smaller cities as well on the first week of release, as we've been dreaming of.
I also think, I hope I'm wrong, I also think that China has had a huge number of cinemas. We are now talking of an age when OTT is so omnipresent that it may not be worth people's while to build so many more cinemas, because that whole monster for cinemas, monster called digital platforms and television, of course, is already existing, is a reality. But yes, Vishek, what you mentioned is very right, that at least we need to have more cinemas, because we are losing out to other platforms for the sheer reason that there aren't enough outlets, there aren't enough cinemas at so many places. So what chains like NY Cinemas are doing, that is why I said even in the beginning that they are doing the rightest thing by exploiting markets which were hitherto unexploited by the cinema audience. Would Kunal or Aashish like to add something?
So it's a mix of everything. If you compare an balance sheet of an international company operating out of China and US, there are a lot of factors. Real estate is one of them. Their rent to top line ratio is, 30% of ours. Electricity, staff cost. Here we want everything, the service is very, very important. So our staff costs are really high. Electricity cost is really high. These all factors put together and come into something which is called as profitability, which is return of investment. Also, the developers who are making, so cinema can't be made by cinema operators. It is, if we don't have a mall to make a cinema, the cinema can't be made. So when China grew from 20 to 60, it was only at a time where Wanda started to grow malls. He was opening 10 malls every month. That was the reason. Second, in US, because there were so many malls and the size of the mall, each plex is on an average of 16 to 18 screens. So these are some of the difference where, if there is a return of investment for the cinema operator as well as the mall. I don't see any mall in India which is successful without a cinema. So sooner or later, real estate developers will also understand this, and we will have more cinemas. We all are working towards that only.
Thank you, Aashish. Thank you, Dayalji. Thank you, Kunal, and thank you, Rajiv. As I said, you have been, yeah, sure. Mr. Dayal Padmanabhan would like to add something.
Yeah, just I thought I should have a little bit of proof about the ticket price, what's going on for a superstar, Vijay, who is the highest paid actor in India. Today the price is 60 rupees, 60 rupees 12 paise for the first 2 rows. And for rest of the things, 190 rupees 78 for. This is a premium property which is called Phoenix Mall. So this is Chennai's price, and Bangalore also. Bangalore, this culture is not there. This first 2 row culture is not there. In Bangalore, it will be around 220 rupees. Sir. Just I want to add up the thing. That's all.
Very visible difference. And see, this is what happens. Because probably Raghav knew I would be talking about the high ticket prices, the high price of concessionaires, eatables, drinks, etc. So the popcorn has been kept for all of them. There's no popcorn for me. This is the way they punished me. Thank you so much. Thank you, audience. You've been a lovely audience.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give our panelists a huge round of applause for that insightful discussion. So I must say, cinema and cricket are like religion in India. And as long as the stakeholders of the industry get together to ensure the continued success and to ensure that cinema can reach more and that this religion in India, cinema, can spread wider and be loved and cherished more, the industry will always flourish. So this is how it is. So ladies and gentlemen, I think today our experts have truly shed light on the evolving landscape of consumption, film consumption in India. Let's once again please give them a huge round of applause, and may I please invite on stage Mr. Raghav, Director Big Cine Expo, to kindly present mementos felicitating and thanking our speakers for taking out time from their busy schedules to be here with us today and to share their thoughts with us on this platform. To Mr. Aashish Singh, thank you, sir, for joining us. We would like to thank Mr. Dayal Padmanabhan for bringing a little flavor from the South and sharing your thoughts with us here at Mumbai today. Thank you, Mr. Kunal Savne. Mr. Rajiv Sharma. And a big thank you to our moderator, Mr. Komal Natha, for beautifully guiding this discussion. Mr. Natha, we're going to ensure that we give you an entire hamper of popcorn to take away now. No, but that is just for you.